Hello, this is Cheryl, and I'm so grateful you're joining me today. Trust that this safe and loving space is exactly where you are meant to be, to ignite your higher self and empower you in this very moment in time. There are no coincidences, so trust the nudges that call to you. As I open, channel, and share today's light filled conversation, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. We are all working to uncover the truths that will serve us on our unique journeys. Each new day brings discovery, and this truth is always empowering, illuminating, and available to us. Now is your moment to deepen your spiritual connection. If it's light, it's right. Hi, and welcome back to If It's Light, It's Right. Today, we continue our 5-part series on dreams. This is part 2. And remember, that 5-part series that I've been working on and that you're listening to are those sacred messages delivered when our subconscious mind sleeps and our higher selves, our spirit, our soul speaks. So in part 2, today's episode, we explore the powerful alliance between our sleeping and our waking minds. And that is that connection that, again, keeps us and our mental health. That is the reasons why we dream. One of the major reasons is to kind of find understanding with our travel here on this Earth's plane. But it also, and with that, it helps us process balance and to heal when we're walking through this very emotional journey. So I'm going to talk about prophetic and problem-solving dreams. And the share I'm going to do today is how they blend, how we can blend them. And I want to just, the prophetic blending is more of the share today. So when we talk about dreams, I want to just kind of move back into an overview. And I want to just remind you that dreams are not random. They are deeply personal. They're divine, divine guidance, and they're unique to each of us because the true dream interpretation doesn't come from a book. It comes from within us, right? I will say sometimes the books do, if we are led to a book, sometimes there's certain symbolisms that do mean, we call them the archetypes. They do have kind of the same meanings, but not always. So I always say stay open to the interpretation of what you feel in your dream. And we'll talk about that in episode 5, in that interpretation. But again, don't feel as though a book is going to tell you all your dreams. That will be disappointing to you or confusing, because your dreams are your spiritual alignment. And sometimes I will say the books they do meet up with your expectations, spiritual expectations, or spiritual intent, because you are drawn to go see them. I have a person, just a little side note, I have one of my clients, and more than one of my clients will wake up and they'll like, all right, the big symbolism that spoke to me here was A. I'm going to look up A. I'm going to Google it. Oh my goodness, it hit it straight on. So I will say that sometimes we are nudged to look up things or to resonate deeply with something a book says. So I'm certainly not saying no to that. Absolutely not saying no to that. Just like in episodes of podcasts, right? You're drawn to them for whatever reasons. Maybe not exactly what is said there, but you resonate with your messages, with what you receive when you listen to that. So I say take that with you in your travels everywhere, and seek out your truths. Even when it comes to dreams, which sometimes feels abstract, sometimes they are only to our humanness, not to our spirits. Our spirits, as I mentioned before, that we do make them. We do create them, and for reasons of purposefulness and alliance. And where do they happen? They happen generally in our REM sleep, which is our lightest sleep. It's about 25%, and it generally occurs in the wee hours of the morning. And certainly, it depends on our state of mind, right? If we're well rested at the time of sleep, or we're absolutely haven't slept in 24 hours, there's a whole different aspect there. But generally, it's our lightest sleep. And generally, it occurs between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. With whatever time zone we're in, because that's generally when we're easing out of that heavy deep sleep and open to remembering or being awakened during our dreams, and that's during our light of sleep, which is REM. And that this is where the spirit meets us halfway, because remember, we are half energy and half physical. So we are the authors of these dreams. And so when we awaken to them, we have the opportunity to dismiss them. And that certainly, absolutely is a valid choice. Oh, well, that was a strange dream. And I will speak from my standpoint too. My dreams are so disjointed, and I guess, not remember them in a logical fashion. I don't feel that that's it's my brain too. So I'm always firing in 100 different ways at 100 different times. So I feel like that's how my dreams are also authored. They're very disjointed. Sometimes I could be in, bobsledding in Austria, and then the next film or the next slide, I am sitting on a beach in Florida. So with nothing that moved me either place. And I'm just giving a quick example. But so don't be super tight in your thinking, right? Yeah, what are you feeling in your dreams? Let that be a guide of what the dream was meant to intend. How it was meant to again, in your core of dreaming beliefs, you must feel that dreams are a message from your light, from your higher self, again, from all things of light, to give you light, love, and comfort in your journey, and however that speaks to you. And if you find yourself in other ways, which is part of our existence on this human plane, work with mediating that, right? Work with saying, I'm going to resist the fear or anxiety that this dream gave me, because I know that is part of my humanness finding fault with it, or delivering the knife in the wound, right? Or the salt in the wound. So be open to your journey. Be open to your journey, because spirit is always offering their hand to us. They are always helping us in our journey. We just have to be open to that intent, and that being our higher self. Our higher self is our possibly strongest ally. And I say that because it is hard for me to say, use that as a superlative, but mm, our higher selves know absolutely our journey, absolutely what we're going through at this moment in earth time. And so it delivers that light, love, and comfort, mm, possibly stronger than most other lighted realm aspects, that being guides and loved ones and past lives and all those other aspects of light that help us in a journey. So, in this episode, we're going to we're going to move to explore dreams, specific dreams. So, prophetic dreams and problem solving informational dreams. We're going to be talking about those two dreams. And prophetic dreams are glimpses into what the future may hold, what is coming into my physical world. I will say, from a spiritual aspect, and you've heard me many times in my episodes, I have a difficult time with this concept, because I am I'm perfectly imperfect as you are. We live in a present, past, and future dimension. And when I just can't wrap my human hands around that, I can't wrap my human hands, my human brain around that. So I just trust that. So I know, in that trust, that that is how prophetic dreams are birthed or given or gifted, or however that speaks to you. But I still work with that wrestling of the dimensions. So I offer that to you, and know that if you fall into my place of balance in this human world, I offer that to you too. Sometimes we just have to know in our heart it's true and trust, even though if we cannot find the concrete words or description to support that. So prophetic dreams That is a string that moves us into prophetic dreams. And problem solving informational dreams are they are meant to help us to find clarity and healing in our journey, in maybe where we are, maybe where we left, maybe things that I hadn't thought of in a while, maybe things that will help me in my journey. So again, that's my hot pocket of dreams for myself is the problem solving informational dreams. So I'll add a little bit of some examples, personal examples there. So, wherever you are, whether you're walking, resting, sipping tea, sitting on a couch, driving, um, settle in and just give yourself this little bit of time just to open up to these two types of dreams. So, let's continue that journey through dream time and discover that light and what holds it for us. I'll be right back. So, we are going to hit into prophetic dreams. And prophetic dreams, as I mentioned, are those gifts of future. Um, they are not always incredibly huge. And I think that's what I kind of want to kind of put forward. And I'll send a few examples as we kind of move through this. I'm going to talk about how they can be a gift, what the characteristics of prophetic dreams are, how they can look in our daily life, that's our waking life, and how they show themselves in catastrophic occurrences. All right, so hold on to there. And I also want to remind you of anytime we awake in our dreams, and truly that's why we're here, right? If we recall our dreams and we have human thinking. So anytime that we have human thinking, that there is an element of ego that could infiltrate. And again, I shake that loose, or I want to help you filter that with saying, what are my emotions? Because if my emotions that are drawn are more of an ego emotions, like fear, warnings, judgment, that keep that in your lighted hands when you're trying to define that. Because our light doesn't hold those verbs, right? Those emotions. They really are meant always for light, love, and comfort. But again, if our mind is open and awake, there's always that element. There's always that element of kind of almost dream sabotage, right? So stay true to your heart. Ask your heart anything. Clear that chatter. Ask it. See how it resonates. Does that feel light to you? It's as simple and difficult as that. Really, just ask your heart. So, prophetic dreams is a gift. It's a gift. It's an intuitive, it supports our psychic abilities. And I have clients that are very prophetic in their dreams. Their dreams talk to them, and it is their lighted choice. Maybe for reasons of the human journey, they don't feel comfortable, or they're not awake enough, or can shut ego enough to be open to how spirit works in the waking life. I call that attunement, kind of attuning. And it's a stricter, it's not so much a download, it's really just focusing in what spirit is telling you. And that's where my mediumship is in attunement. So if the attunement is not in your spiritual wheelhouse right now, those individuals reside in their dream state. That is when their higher self talks to them in a deeper fashion. That's when the propheticness comes as evidence to our higher self that, hey, wow, how would I have known that? There's something here. How would I have known that? And again, that's how our higher self works. Our higher self gives us everything we ask for in light and love, and the experiences that we ask for. If you recall in the prior episode, I talked about I I am engulfed in find such such a spiritual education when I can see spirit with my human eyes. And so I shared that experience about seeing a spirit in full form with my human eyes. It is not. It is more of an exception to my sight. I always see spirit through my mind's eye. But not always and not often in my human eyes. But I know I send that out there. Send that out there in my waking moments, and certainly I want to just clue you in that even though you in your awakened state might not think you asked for these experiences, your light does. So be open to that. If you are getting these messages in your dreams, be open that you might be wanting to be awakened, to move up the next step of spirituality. That might be what speaks to your soul and what that you came to attain in this lifetime for reasons of your soul's purpose. So be open. Propheticness is that door into our dream state that comes a knocking. I don't have a very strong propheticness. And I know and I feel in my heart is because I can attune in my awakeness. I can find out and go to my answers in my awakeness. But at times, I do get some small pieces of propheticness that show up. So, and I will talk about that in a second. It can be so very small, but still prophetic. Okay, still prophetic. Remember, trust that present, past, and future dimension. So that gift of propheticness is not a usual gift. It is unusual to possess that. And those of you out here that are listening, you know that. And those of us that are listening to me, I don't possess that. I have it on a very small level. So I get that, but I do talk to, I have sessions and talk to individuals that have a prophetic gift in their dream state. And it truly is how they find their light and their answers. It's almost a psychic sleep, and it's full of intuition. Remember, intuition is what fuels the psychic senses and our psychic abilities. They all kind of mushroom beautifully together. Intuition is what comes from those abilities. I will say too, trust that if it's not used with light, and this goes, I want to say across the board, but I also have a preface to it. If you don't use light in a giving way, in a purposeful and non-destructive way, because it would cease. It would that vision would be closed off to you. That is almost a spiritual rule. But I have to say also that if you have been given that gift of propheticness in your waking or your sleeping moments, that is something that you've earned. You have earned through a lifetime. It isn't just a light switch that says, "Okay, here's your time. You got this." You've earned this. So it's once you receive it, you don't lose it. You might choose to put it in a drawer and put it away because ego makes you fearful of it, or makes you uneasy. You don't know what to do with this. All those aspects of propheticness, and that is part of path as well, knowing that that very well may occur. So again, if you're given that gift of propheticness, it is your choice of what you want to do with it, without rules. Sometimes putting that away in a closet or a drawer was part of what your path was meant to be. I have a client that sees, feels, and hears spirits and propheticness very much in their dreams. Not as deeply in their awakened because they have control. They are holding it back. They are pushing it back purposefully in their waking, in their human moments. But in your dream state, remember you've cleared that earth chatter. You quieted that earth chatter. So spirit in its infinite love, light, and comfort can move through you. So when we find when we are purposefully holding back light for reasons of those human journeys, the fear, the guilt, the judgment, wherever that is, those are always the kingpins. That is generally part of our journey. I don't want it. When I see it and I feel it, it scares me. Um, Again, that is part of our journey. And that's not to mean that maybe you will open that door someday, or that closet, or that drawer to open up to your light in a deeper fashion. You may stay that way for your entire lifespan, and that's okay. That's okay. There's no rules. There's no rules. But I will say the light is always trying to make their way in to give us that guidance and that support and that comfort of home, of home. And that is where our heart exists. Characteristics of a prophetic dream, how you know that you're in a prophetic dream, some evidence is vivid color, a logical order of events. And again, be mindful that the ego doesn't try to blend in to give you that uncertainty, right? To give you that fear or scaredness, possibly. Be open to that. If you're feeling those emotions in your awakened state, be mindful of that. That's not to say that dismiss that. That is not what I'm saying. Just be understanding of that. Is that truly the light speaking, or is that your humanness speaking? And either way, it is beautiful and acceptable, and embrace it. Right? There's no rules. There's no have tos. In prophetic life, in our daily life, like when a pocket of a person just kind of walking through, because there can be a small scale propheticness, and that's kind of where I fit in. Seeing a person in your dreams or a situation play out before it happens. I might see someone in my dream that I have not seen in so long, and then the next day or two, either their name comes up, or I bump into them at the market. That happened actually the other day. I saw a person I hadn't seen in years and years and years. No feel, no, a good friend and not a good friend. Just a very, very neutral person. Very nice and neutral. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I dreamed of that person. And then 2 days later, I saw that person in the market. So I know that that's prophetic. It doesn't. It doesn't have to be life altering, right? It can be very small scale, and some of us just dismiss it, like, oh yeah, I dreamed of it. That's propheticness. That is light giving you that glimpse of future. And why it is very often to give you that little nudge of, wow, I got a little something here. Like maybe I'm a little psychic. Maybe I have a little psychic skills. Yes, 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 yes. I want to tell you, yes, you do. We all are beautifully psychic, and sometimes we just need those reminders, however small scale. I always say, if you've used the word, that is so weird. I just dreamt of that person 2 days ago or last night, whatever that was. That is so weird. Again, follow my episode prior. Funny and weird are 99% of the time light. When they come in that context, right? It's not like I went to a comedian and that word funny. So I say open and put the word interesting as a placeholder. And when you do, sometimes the resonation and the intent is there. Sometimes you get you get a download, or you get some messages of guidance, like why that happened. And very often it's not monumental. It's just kind of like a little nudge, like, hey, remember, you are of light. You are of light. Trust that. That is going to be the hand that holds you in your deepest and darkest challenges of journey. I'm here. I'm still here. And so the downside, as I kind of already spoke about, is that ego, right? It skews the truth. Oh yeah, I dreamt of that person, but I must have heard her name, and that's why I saw her, right? Because that's what ego does. Ego tries to talk you out of that. It always tries to talk you out, or you might filter it as dark or evil. That can result when you open to your propheticness, and that's a whole nother episode. I will always say that darker spirits, I don't use the word evil, I use darker spirits. They do exist on the other side, but our light is always higher. Our free will is always trumping any spirit. So always keep that in mind. And very often, not always, but very often, it is our ego trying to blend that in, right? On rare occasion, there is some darkness. I've seen that in myself during dream state, and I've seen that in readings too. And you just have to remember that I am of light. and nothing can harm my light. Just trust that and feel that deeply in your heart. Another aspect of propheticness I want to just talk about is like catastrophic occurrences. We hear that sometimes in the news or in people that see a large scale or see or feel something tragic scene that happened in a large scale. And I use this example. It's a very sad example, but again, sad being earthly, on the 9/11 and the devastation that occurred in that. And if you circle the globe, people have seen that in manifested in different ways. Sometimes they don't see a collapse; they might hear a loud explosion. So again, be open to the propheticness, the opportunity of propheticness. Sometimes it's just part of our dream. It's not prophetic, but when it's prophetic, it's almost like our spirit knows it. It gives us a little kick in the spiritual pants, right? The logical, you wake up and there's acknowledgement of like, wow, what was that? And then in the future, sometimes that gets answered, right? You see what that is. But again, be very mindful in prophetic dreams. And remember, prophetic dreams are truly spiritual dreams. They are dreams of light, of things to come in the future. But sometimes we just dream, and sometimes when they're prophetic, our ego kind of takes hold of it and tries to blend another type of dream in, and to kind of throw us off the path. For example, if you did truly have a prophetic dream of that explosion, maybe your ego goes, yeah, no, that's they're clearing the highway right now. That's what you redreamt that. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you saw that large scale catastrophic occurrence happening, or maybe there was a plane crash, right? So again, be open to that. And again, it is not to instill fear in your spirit. Your spirit's asked for it. If you are you prophetic in your dreams, and your spirit is giving you what you asked for, or the purpose of your soul's journey. So, and that's not to mean that it's an easy journey, but just be open to that, and try to leave the ego outside the door, right? Like leave it there, and if keep the confusion or clear the confusion, right? And it's okay to table it all. I don't know what that is, and I'm not feeling it's time right now to kind of walk through that. All right. Beautiful. Fine. No worries. Or if that was a prophetic, can you give me another sign? Can you move me to another message? So ask for validation. Ask your heart. Your heart will validate all your truths. But sometimes ask for it in another way. Show it to me in another way. So trust that. And that's our prophetic dreams. Now I'm going to move on to a quicker dream explanation, because its name kind of signifies it all. Problem solving and informational dreams. Again, this is my hot pocket. This is where, if I remember a dream, this is where it comes from. And again, I have to remind you, remember, the subconscious mind is an ally. It wants to help you. And this is one lean in that my light does. I do this often. I'll give you some examples of how my unique spirit and dreams work together, just as you have your unique connection. So when I wake up, and this is also the definition as well, but when I wake up with clarity or a game plan, and I don't generally remember the rule, I don't generally remember the dream. I just wake up with the knowledge. I got it. All right. Um, it might be, all right, I have to do this today. This is what I have to do this today. So I must have in my dream state, or help in my lighted self say, okay, Cheryl, you need some clarity, you need some direction. You're going, your mind is at full capacity, and you need some help. And yes, generally I do need help. My spiritual mind is creating and moving steps, and sometimes I just need those guardrails to squish me in and say, okay, what's next though? What's next? I do that in attunement too. So I might sit here in my quiet space and say, okay, with light and love, my highest best good, what should I do right now? But sometimes it happens in my sleep. I'm constantly asking for help. And so I wake up with a clarity or a game plan. Sometimes I wake up with the problem solving, and I use this example because it really does speak to me and my uniqueness. Or I wake up singing a song. I didn't have the song in my thoughts prior, but I wake up, but that song gives me information. It gives me comfort. It gives me answers to maybe my next steps, or maybe there was a disagreement I had with a person. I don't usually have disagreements, but maybe I felt guilty about something, a conversation, and that song speaks to that. And it just, and my heart opens and I say, okay, let it go. Let it go, Cheryl. It's not that important. Let it go. Or it's not received in the way that you think it got received, right? Because very often our humanness and our ego takes embellishes it to these high levels that it never happened. And again, your light doesn't give you things that you want; it gives you things you need. So if it truly wasn't a big deal to that person or that event or whatever that is, I'm going to be fed that. I'm going to be fed that. Or get up and I drive my husband crazy. I'll wake up and I go, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. He goes, ah, my goodness, can I have a cup of coffee, please, first? So again, that is how my dreams support me. So again, when I'm dreaming in my most useful state, it generally is in a problem solving. And it will be, and sometimes in release as well. And we'll talk about that in our next episode. It also gives information. It receives information to help with decisions. And again, they go hand in hand. That's why I kind of put the title kind of both together. They both kind of give it to you, right? Sometimes I will remember dreams and I will see how that problem solving kind of comes to fruition. But I just, I don't have patience. I always say I need another lifetime in patience. And when I say patience, I mean patience with myself. So sometimes I'm like, just speed it up and give me my answer. That's kind of how my waking self moves. And I'm sure my spirit works the same way. Just give me the end game and I'll know and I'll trust that. So again, how you work in your connection follows through in your dreams. I told you in the first episode, my dreams are so disjointed. They're so all over the place. But that's how my brain is. I am always firing. I have a very busy brain. And I can think of 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 things at once. I can do 3 and 4 things at once. So that's just how my brain is wired. So it makes spiritual sense how my spiritual side, my higher self, and again, all the lighted realm helps me with that. They can't take that away. Right? Because that is I am hardcore in that. This is a human journey. But light is always extending their hands, and they do so in our dreams. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to share an example of propheticness and how dreams blend for a higher good. All right. So I'm going to stay with the propheticness because I find like that is more kind of what speaks to people, or they're more interested and curious with, which I so agree as well. So I'm going to give 2 scenarios. One, you're having a problem with a relationship, and the second is you're needing information on a new job. And again, you certainly can ask for messages in your awakened stage, and I will always encourage you to do both. Right? Open the lights. I always say, give me everything you got. Help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. So those are the 2 examples, but I'm going to talk about prophetic guidance. That means from a lighted source in the universe. And these are just some scenarios, just to give illustration to how propheticness those dreams can give us some guidance. some guidance. So I'm in a problem regarding a relationship, whether it's a sibling or a child or a partner, parent, whatever the relationship, I'm having a problem. And should I leave or should I stay? And that is open for interpretation on those two verbs. So if there is a leaving, and I'm going to use a partner or a spouse in this one, um, maybe you would have a dream of a spouse in an unsavory way, like something that is not, and again, this supports leaving that spouse or considering leaving. Always be open for the interpretation. It's not always a direct yes or no. Be open. Maybe your spirit's trying to give you a little nudge to open deeper before you make a decision. Or to help you make a decision, or maybe to uncover something that you need to uncover in your waking self to make a decision. Do you see how propheticness works? It's not a direct line. It's like a onion that keeps opening. So don't embellish and narrate the ending. Be open with your light in all of these examples. So I'm gonna just preface it all that way. It's very really a direct yes or no. It's an opening or a nudge to explore, to deepen your experience, to make a lighted decision, not one with humanness, right? Not one with those human emotions. So, prophetic guidance of leaving might be a dream of a spouse in an unsavory way, maybe smiling into a phone, right? Being in a specific location that speaks to you in terms of a little nudge to why would he be here, or why should she be here, or overhearing a conversation. So that might be prophetic guidance in an essence to investigate why. And it might be prophetic guidance. I'm going to take it even a step further in that interpretation of light, saying that's your fear. Ask him, inquire, and see that it doesn't exist, right? So, again, always don't take dreams as black and white often, because often they are just an expansion. They are your higher self working so hard to crash through all your ego and all your karma and all your challenges to speak to you. So sometimes our ego can take it to places where the higher self, you weren't supposed to go there, right? So, but our heart knows all the answers. So stay on that lighted heart path. An example to stay in a relationship that has some problems would be maybe a loved one who passed away comes and appears and tells you, right? So you see yourself old with that person. Maybe those are some examples of not time to move into or lean into leaving a person. So just hold and stay with that. And again, I am putting asterisks, big bold marks, open to the interpretation. It is not often a cut and dry answer, a nudge to uncover, to keep walking towards that lighted path. The other example is need information. I'm looking at a new job. Should I take the new job? Should I? All those, and remember, we're talking about prophetic. We're not talking about, we're talking about lighted hands in there, right? Lighted hands in there in some way. Remember, prophetic dreams are on the lighted realm. They're not, they're not housed in our humanness to help us in our journey, right? They are housed in all light. But remember that we don't want ego to infiltrate. We want to keep that in that lighted realm. We're holding back so we can hear, and we can feel and resonate with that lighted guidance. So I need information on a new job. So dreams bring you to a familiar or happy scene. And again, I always say too, when you want your dreams to communicate with you, set that intent. Set that intent out loud before you sleep, during your waking moments. Don't get obsessive with it, because that is a verb that is pot ego, and that's more destructive than helpful. So just say, I am open. Send me information and dreams. Send it to me loud and clear. Follow it up in my waking self. Give yourself that intent, right? If you're looking, want information on a new job, or should I take this job? Send your intent. Send your intent out there. But be open for the lighted interpretation, not the human narration, right? Don't embellish the ending, because that is our ego and not our light. So looking for a new job, and your dream brings you to a familiar or happy scene. Thinking about a new job and you don't have fear. And it shows you something you've always wanted to do. Maybe open up your own business or become a nurse or a teacher. Maybe your dreams show you that. And not necessarily to be a nurse, but maybe to be helpful in some way. Maybe you were a nurse in a prior lifetime, and that dream brought that beautiful feeling that was from a prior lifetime, and not that it's meant to be in this lifetime, but that encouragement and that light is meant to drive you to find that new job, or to okay that new job, or to be open that you will recognize it when it comes. Again, prophetic guidance comes that way, not always with that open and ended and clear, direct message. Maybe your dream just feels light. And again, your subconscious mind is always trying to mind you of goals and happiness and path. So again, prophetic guidance will feel light. Doesn't always feel happy, because our path is not always happy, but light, empowering, truth. Those are lighted verbs, I call them. Those are verbs that I want to keep walking to. I want to keep walking to. So as we close part 2 of our 5-part dream series, let's take a breath and honor the sacred alliance between our walking and our dreaming minds. This episode was focused on 2 powerful dream types. The first 2 that we're going to go over, and those prophetic and problem-solving / informational dreams. Both beautiful spiritual tools meant to guide, support, and awaken us for our journey, or for understanding of our journey, or for help, light, love, and comfort of our journey. Prophetic dreams are those dreams that feel vivid, often symbolic and deeply intuitive. You may dream of something days or months before it happens, on a small scale, like I did, and saw someone that I saw in a dream, or hear a familiar conversation, or sense someone that's going to be calling you. Or it could be large, like sensing a significant event. When held in the light, these dreams offer clarity, but when ego or fear creep in, the truth can sometimes become distorted. So keep that in mind. Don't fear it, just be open to that interpretation. And feel your light when you have to validate, go into your heart. Informational and problem solving dreams come from your subconscious higher spirit, and it acts as a gentle navigator. They offer clarity about relationships, choices, and life's directions. And spirit often blends these with prophetic elements to guide you towards joy, purpose, and healing at times. So be open to that blending of dreams, just like we blend with our psychic abilities. Very unusually are they just systematic. They blend beautifully. So be open to that. And so when we dream, be open to that they are not random, that they are authored by our higher self in collaboration with spirit to bring your life into deeper alignment. Stay tuned for part 3, when we'll dive into release dreams. And they're often misunderstood as nightmares. We do name them as nightmares, but I'm gonna move to uncover them more with light, because these dreams are where we face our fear, we release old energy, and we encounter powerful emotional healing. Because even in our darkest dreams, spirit is offering light. And as always, if it feels light, it is right. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you on your journey today. There's so much for us to explore and learn together. If there's a light-filled topic you're curious about, or if you just want to reach out, I'd love to connect. Follow me on social media at Cheryl Bradley Medium, or visit cherylbradley.com to explore my offerings and events. I hope today's episode has filled you with the light to carry with you until we meet again. And let the title of this podcast stay with you today and every day. If it's light, it's right. Blessings on your journey.